time for all of you. Hi, Amanda. Amanda's joining from better weather.
Awesome.
Okay. So Lena, where are you right now? You're in the Bay Area?
I am in the Bay Area, so I'm located in San Jose, the heart of the Silicon Valley. Yeah, woo, good weather. But people, like some people are like, they love or have a love or hate relationship with the Bay Area, right? Because it's expensive. But the thing is, I think it's definitely thriving. There's so much opportunity. Ideas go to idea to full implementation right here into the entire globe. So a lot of things stem right here from the Silicon Valley. And so a lot of opportunity and definitely networking and a lot of thriving. It's just different, a lot of innovation as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we're in San Francisco. Done the city life for a while, but now just with needing more space, it's like, should we do the suburbs? Welcome everyone. Excited to have you all. We're at 12:29. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We're here with Lena Mendoza. She is going to be talking about how to create a niche for yourself, how to identify and create a niche for yourself in your business. I'm keep letting you guys trickle in. Yes, East Coast definitely showed up. East Coast Texans. Oh, Jerry's like, we're Texans after all. That's true. You got through last week. Nice. All right. So everyone, as you're chatting in, make sure to chat into panelists and attendees so everyone can see what you're chatting in. I'm going to give it a few more minutes before I kick this off. We're also live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you know anyone that's not being able to join here, hasn't registered, they still definitely go check this out live. Make sure to keep using the hashtag Radius Agent Summit. Gonna give it a few more minutes, then we can kick this off.
So super excited to have everybody here. Definitely you're showing up, definitely some crazy, turbulent weather, definitely in Texas. I know it was frozen last week. I think you guys are doing much better at this time. Definitely East Coast has showed up. So we're super proud of that. Some of us are here in California. And yes, so hey, Angelica, how are you? And so this is a very interactive workshop. So we in training. And so this is really more kind of a discussion, but it is about providing you the education and content. But I really want to encourage you to ask those questions so that you really can grab this information and put in. So what I like to share is go from knowledge to application immediately. And so the whole goal for Radius Agent Summit is to make sure that our agents and our partners are very successful in their transactions, and then also how we transform what we do in the real estate agents. So this is a good time to learn and grow together. Yeah.
Well, why don't we get started? It's 12:31. I'm going to let people trickle in, but let's get started. Lena, thank you so much for doing this. You've been an incredible partner for Radius Agent and Radius Agent Realty. The courses that you've contributed to Academy, and it's just incredible what you've achieved with your coaching business. And I can't wait to hear the specific topic on identifying your niche. I think we all know this is that you're going to succeed if you're really good at a few things, but it's much harder knowing what those few things are, and it's much harder digging in to be good at them. And I think this is a great follow-up from the last session with Dr. Lee, where she talked about how do you profit with your specific personality, right? And it's like, okay, now you understand your personality, but what is it that you should focus your business on, and how do you better cater to specific customers? So I am super excited. I am going to have you get started now. I will stop sharing and go off video.
Perfect. So welcome everybody. So I'm Lena Mendoza, and I am super glad to be here with you today. So I'm sharing my screen, so I hope you guys can see it. And I'm going to talk to you about niching down. And so it's also going to give a little bit an add-on there when we're talking about branding. So if you're not familiar with Radius Agent Summit, please add us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And so we're constantly sharing content and information and how to improve the industry, and then also how we use technology to be able to connect with our consumers, and then also so that we become better, leaders in the industry. So Very, very, very important. So yes, so thank you so much, Amanda. So welcome East Coast, welcome Texas, welcome West Coast. And so everybody, we are so grateful that you're here. And so one of the things I want to ask you or kind of share with you is, what is a niche? And so oftentimes people, they get a little bit afraid or they're reluctant to pigeonhole themselves. And so it's really not pigeonholing yourself. I really want to encourage you to is really identify yourself as an expert subject matter. And so a niche is being able to identify. So here you look at the definition. So a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. So you see this photo here, and there's a mom and she has a child and it looks like she's in the military. So I want to ask a question is, have you ever thought about, do you work with military families? And so why do I ask this? Because does anybody know that you are niching down in a specific market? Maybe you do flips, maybe you do first, single moms. And so what is that niche? And so start identifying, like, say, this is my passion. I seem to have a mission around. And so what is that? So is it about first-time home buyers? Are you into vacation homes? And so don't be scared to niche down. And this is how you brand yourself. And so what I'm really proud as a business partner with Radius Agent is that we are very, very big on not only branding, but branding you. And so it's really about who you are as a leader in the community and how you interact with your clients. So it's not about the company's name, it's about who you are as a realtor and ultimately as a person. And so we really, really encourage that. And so then we take it a step further and say, have you not only branded yourself well, and we help you with that, but also are you identifying your niche and knowing where you want to specialize and identify yourself as expert subject matter. So in COVID-19, I will tell you that I did some research and I said, how hard is this to niche down and identify, brand yourself, and use the social media or use media? So you can also have television and radio and podcasting to really brand yourself out there. And so in the research that I did, it said anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days. So you can really put yourself in that position. So you don't have to have anybody else do that. So back in the day, years ago, you would have to be identified as the top women business of the year or something that the community or organization would identify you as. But this is where you have the power to be able to niche down, but also brand yourself accordingly. So let's look at some things. So analyzing local demographics. So I've heard agents share, hey, I really work with baby boomers, right? This is really, they're really going, the empty nesters. That's another niche that they work with as well. Here in the Bay Area, we are very, very international. So we have lots of people who come from different countries who work here or remotely work here. And so, or they transition to come into the Bay Area. And so I'm right here in the heart of California, called the Silicon Valley. And so very international. And so people say, I'm a specialist working with international clients. So I know other agents out of LA who share, they said, I work with single moms. And I said, wow, that's pretty specific. And they said, my bread and butter is on single moms. And so it took away the misnomer of single moms not necessarily having the economic power or the economic opportunity to purchase a home. So maybe you're specializing in divorcees, right? And you're like, oh yes, I handle that, no problem. And they're able to either handle each person, either not only close out that home and handle that, split all the assets and liabilities, or really more the assets. And then on top of that, right, they help them buy a new home, right? Or as they partner with their new person that they married with. I've seen it all. And I think it's super phenomenal because they are identified as an expert subject matter. So I really encourage you to think about, how do people see you? But also, again, where is your passion lie? Where does who are you naturally attracting? And so I was working with a client who's an attorney. And so she goes, oh, I work with women. I said, I think you work with Latina, like Hispanic women. She goes, no, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. I don't want to put myself in a box. I said, it's not putting yourself in a box. You work with all women. Really, she knows she does work with women. I said, but what I see, a large majority of your clients, they seem to be in this area. So 365 days later, she is confidently saying that. And so I share that sometimes people aren't ready to because they're really kind of focused on, I really want to help everybody. Again, niching down does not mean that you don't want to help everybody. It's identifying yourself as an expert subject matter. So if you kind of think of a doctor, you have a dentist, right? So they don't necessarily give you surgery on your body. They actually work with your mouth. And then they have different levels of periodontal work. And so there's expert subject matter in those areas, and they have the education. And so specifically in the real estate industry, we know that it's about the expert area that you have. You can also credential in that area. So there's certain certifications as well. So I really want to encourage you to, again, analyze your local demographics and then see if there's a pattern of what you're doing. And as I shared earlier, I said, what is your passion? And so, maybe you were a divorcee yourself and you're like, I've had such a difficult time to find a home, or people didn't want to work with me or showed me how to buy a home. And so maybe that's your story. And so your story also can transfer into some data points. And so why do I share that? It's because, maybe you've helped 15 families, right? Or 15 single moms buy a home. And so you want to share that, say 75% of my clients are single moms. And I also was a single mom. That you could have your own personal story. But when you share that information and your actual milestones and your percentages and so forth, people go, wow, you're very good at that. You're actually and you can identify that as yourself. So you don't have to wait for anybody to brand you, you brand yourself. So I really encourage that. And then also, do you love helping people find the right home? It's all about your consumer. It's all about making sure their experience is great. So I've had that happen where realtors have shared with me where people have gone through different real estate agents because they didn't necessarily get a great experience, or they were declined in maybe the loan process or the pre-qualification process, but yet in this other arena, they had such a smoother transition and application process. So making sure that you really kind of focus on your consumers and how to make that, how are you more likable? Also, as Dr. Lee shared, personality, but what is your passion? Who do you want to help, and who do you seem to kind of, draw towards in the community? Maybe you like rehabs. Maybe maybe you're very great at architect and design, or you have what I call the eye for aesthetics. And so if you're really good at that, then people should know that and say, hey, I also do this. So there is a lady that I know here in the Silicon Valley who she has, and when she writes anything on Facebook, she has her signature line and has her phone number, and it tells you how to access her. Even if she's talking about her kids, she is sharing with you, this is how you contacted me. These are my expert areas. I can offer you a loan. I can help you buy a house. It is very clearly stated. She brands herself. So I don't even know the company name. I just know she brands herself. And so highly encourage that you share that. And as you can share, so kind of more comfort zone as well. But as you identify your passion and your areas of expertise, and as you niche down, brand yourself that way. So super important. So the other question here says, what part of your job do you always enjoy discussing with others? And so maybe it's the pre-qualification process. Maybe it's the possibilities, right? And so it's really sharing like, hey, this is how you can qualify. And the reason why that's important is people have this misnomer of like, in their mindset of what they think is correct in buying a home. And I'm sure you've heard plenty of people say, don't buy a home in COVID-19. You don't know what's going to happen to the market. It's going to crash. Well, I think we know that the market hasn't crashed, right? And so making sure that you constantly share the content out there as an agent and clarifying any of those questions that consumers may have. And very much so, address those assumptions. Please address those assumptions. So whatever you share on social media, on your LinkedIn, on your Instagram and Facebook, and if you're not a social media person yet, I highly recommend you change that in less than 24 hours. And so, because you're really missing the market. So I will share with you, as COVID hit, I worked with a specific agent. He went from 20,000 to 60,000 per month because he used technology. So I'm going to do a plug here for Radius Agent because I really believe in our work that we do. And so technology, if used correctly, can help you advance. So your passion, maybe part of your passion is doing open home, like, wow, working with families, working with individuals, and they're coming in, you love sprucing it up and you love the feeling of, wow, this could be my home. Share that on your social media. And so what happened in the technology and how technology has advanced that, specifically with that client that I work with, is that we're not doing 15 to 20 families in open house. Now you're doing 1,000, and a home could be sold in hours, not days or months, depending on the market. And so I'm telling you, this is the time to really think about how you're niching down and really looking at how technology can help you. And then what do your consumers want and how are you addressing their assumptions? So again, your passion and all throughout that storyline, you definitely want to share like, hey, you have concerns about your loan, right? So share your passion. Say, I really love to see people get pre-qualified so they know that this is a possibility. And so share that. Those are very positive statements. So you're really going to take away a lot of fears for consumers and really going to help a lot of clarity and really help them paint the picture of the vision for themselves to do that. So your passion can help you to your profits, but it can ultimately help your consumers have the confidence that's required for them to do one of their largest transactions of their life. So I highly recommend that. So also I want to ask, what are your designations or certifications? So there's different professional affiliations that you can join, either your local real estate agency, national real estate agency. They're also identified by ethnic group. So, you know, you want to join so kind of what the trend is. So some people seem to want to do business with, if they're Hispanic, they want to do business with a Hispanic realtor, but that's not always the case, right? So you don't necessarily have to be Hispanic to join a Hispanic organization. You also don't, you know, you can be a woman, right, who to join an organization that might be male dominated. Highly encourage you to really have those associations, but as well as those certifications, because what does it do? It sets you out, sets you apart from the rest. And so making sure that you know that you're an expert subject matter, but also sharing that. So I want to stop my sharing there real quick and see if there's any questions. And so I want to open that up and see if there's right. And so Sonia says, yes, definitely great for referrals. And so any questions, anybody want to share anything on how you're learning this niching down? Anybody want to share also, like, what is your niche? Is anybody specializing either in flips or rehabbing? Maybe you're working with senior citizens and transitioning, right? Kind of the baby boomers, right? Tell us your niche. We definitely want to hear that. Anybody want to share? Give it a couple seconds here. Okay, well, let me get back to the sharing the screen, and then if you, as you feel you can do that, then I would encourage that. So here's some specific geographical areas. So niching down also means knowing your area, right? And so what is your area? So here we're in the Bay Area. And so the reason why I asked this, right? Oh, I love, Angelica says, I tell all about that in the women empowerment. So I love that, right? Yvonne says, most of the people that I've worked with recently are single moms. Way to go, Yvonne. So say that, because then people go, oh, single moms can buy a house. I'm a single mom, or I just got divorced. Like, how can you help me, right? And so identifying yourself as an expert subject matter, again, really focuses on the niching down. And so, if you're not familiar with the term, they say that there's riches in niches. And so people say the more you specialize, the more you make more money. And so I have a cousin who does, you know, upgrades, and he doesn't do rehabs, but he does a lot of construction. And so he did real estate before. He does still have his real estate license. And, you know, he said, and he tells me, he says, my clients, this is how he describes his demographic, which I think he does. He articulated quite well. He goes, my clients are on average have a $15,000 chandelier. So that he does not discount anything he does. He puts it at price point. And in COVID-19, he's made more money. Why? Because he's in high demand. And then also because he knows his value. And so, and he niched down, because a lot of people ask about flips or insurance, and he's like, nope, that's not my area. This is what I do. I specialize this. And guess what? His dollars and his profit margins. And so it's not about how much money you make, right? It's about the profit margins you have. And so I love learning about things like that, because it's very important that we specialize. And so definitely. So I think Sonia also says, do you have a social media and blog about it, Yvonne? Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh, what a great way to even share that as well, Sonia, is blogging that, you know, sharing that on a website if you don't have your own website, and kind of sharing kind of that process. And, you know, a couple paragraphs, or on LinkedIn, you're able to publish your own articles. So most definitely. And then Amanda says, it's kind of like dating. When you know what you want, it's easier to find. Kudos to Amanda. Definitely love that correlation there. So most definitely, it's definitely like dating. So why do I say this about geographic area? So I do have the picture of California. And so if you're not familiar how big our state is, it's very large. It's about, I think, 8 hours to go south to, I'm right in the center. So about 8 hours to go south and 8 hours to go north to the border. And so I mean, I lived in Fresno before, but I share that because here in the Silicon Valley, people are very demographic oriented. Like, are you South Bay? Are you North Bay? Are you East Bay? And I'm like, I didn't know what that meant. And so is there areas that you're also those are your expert areas, or demographically, maybe you're specializing in East Bay. And so it's not the whole Bay Area. And so being able to speak to that, right? And so are you in Colorado? Do you have a license in Colorado and Arizona? Maybe you fly to each destination. So I have seen agents do that and then been very successful. And so I do recommend you kind of think about that, and maybe also share how you specialize also by area and demographic. I don't see a lot of people doing that unless they're more seasoned as an agent. So I recommend, as you grow in your field and in your industry, identify those geographic areas. So also target the real estate experience, right? So we have this gorgeous home as an image here for us to see. And so explaining even like renters, right? Do you work with renters? Maybe you're also a property manager. And they go, oh, I didn't know that. I just thought you were a real estate agent. So whatever you share with us, this is what we go by. You work with first-time home buyers. You also work with first-time home sellers. So this might be something where they've never sold their home, but you want to really speak to that. You're like, hey, I make the process very easy. You want your consumers and your clients to really speak highly of you. So getting their Yelp reviews, getting their LinkedIn reviews, these are places where people can really say, hey, right? So Sonia has made a phenomenal experience for me in my first time home selling, and it was such an easy process. You can also create that on Instagram. And so I can also do another plug and tell you that Radius Agent does a great job of creating your social media for you. Why? Because branding is very critical. We always really focus on our agents individually and not us as an organization. So I really want to kind of drive that home, because it's very important that you're having the support that you need, but also that you understand that how to really advertise and really share and brand yourself in that way, because we don't know what you do unless you tell us, right? So also move up buyers and move up sellers, investors. Also, are you familiar with probate? So FSBOs, if you're not familiar, it's when you sell for sell by owner, expired listing and foreclosures. And so I definitely have seen a few agents who've done quite well because they understand the foreclosure process, and that's their expert area. So definitely want to make sure you share that. Also, let me ask you this: do you target a particular home type? And so maybe you're great at condos, right? Maybe you're great at work they're professional, right? As they're establishing their career. And so maybe is it that, or is it like a first-time home buyer who they really want to get into a condo or to a townhome? Well, guess what? This is what you want to share, and really setting yourself differently from the rest. And then also like new construction, you specialize in new construction. We need to know that. And so that otherwise it's a guessing game. Like, I don't know what they're posting on social media. I'm not really sure. And so you can, as you're walking to the home, right? So give an example on how you can do that on social media, just saying, walking up to the house and posting yourself on social media and sharing, like, I'm so excited to meet this family who's ready to buy their home. Just like that. It's a little 10-second clip, and then boom, turn off your phone. So sometimes people think like, they're like, why would that matter? Because you are excited. Show the excitement you have as an agent. Tell them that process, because remember, there's probably 100 steps in this process, and we only know like 2, right? Or maybe 5. So walk us through that. And so when you share, like, hey, maybe you can't buy a home that is like 2,000 square foot, but if you're a first-time home buyer, would you consider a townhome? And they're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And so again, you got to share with us these opportunities. And if you're specific in what you're specialized in, like you work with gated communities, they're like, oh, I'm looking for a gated community. So that sounds great. You also do specialize. So there's a lady that I know out of more of the what is she in Orange County, and so she specializes in kind of the luxury homes, and that is definitely something she does quite well. It's on her Porsche, it's on her, I think she has I don't remember her Tesla as well, and so her Instagram, I mean, she does quite well in the luxury line, and she shares that and she walks you all through that. So my encouragement is, if that's your specialty, and she very clearly states it all the time, I am your luxury line specialist. And she's just very humble in spirit, but really confidently walks her clients through that. And so I really encourage you to identify what that is and kind of share that. And so if you're able to offer all of these, then maybe also share that as well. And so I show this picture of this beautiful ocean. And so there's a picture of a vacation home. Maybe you offer vacation homes. People go, I didn't know I could get a vacation home with a real estate agent. Well, guess what? You got to share that with them. So very awesome. So here's also targeting a particular location. Maybe there's an affluent neighborhood you work with, or maybe you're super experienced in, so there's different locations, right? And so you there's amenities. And so I've heard that quite often here, being in San Jose, that people are identified by amenities, or also they work with specific neighborhoods, right? So if you're looking for a more affluent neighborhood, they say it very clearly, but kind of not, you can hear it in the tone. And so there's a place that's close called Almaden. So they'll say, I specialize in Almaden Valley, or they say Willow Glen. So you can hear it in their tone, which means affluent, right? And so also maybe being close to a school district. Definitely if you're with a family, you want to ask those kind of questions, like, does it matter for your school district, right? And so this, but again, Does your consumer know that you specialize with that great school district? And so, and that you know the ins and outs about the school district, they'll go, oh, you do know what I need. You do know what I'm looking for. And so be very clear about your niching down in your expert area. So also suburb versus county, and then, park, if maybe you're close to a park as well. And so again, sharing that, or maybe you're an expert in the downtown area. So people definitely love that. So I'm going to open it up to a question. You want to connect with me on social. So I'm on Instagram at Lena Mendoza, LinkedIn as well, Lena Mendoza, Facebook, Lena Mendoza, and LenaMendoza.com. My organization is called Intentional Leadership, because we really help people build that out as far as a leader, and how do they brand themselves in the organization or in the community. And so definitely work with both. So, so I definitely see that. So Yvonne says, I also work with a lot of military and retired military. I love that this is getting me to think more of who I want to do business with. Absolutely, Yvonne. And I would love for you to give us feedback about this training as well, because we want to know how much this information has helped you grow your business and really impacted you in that way. And so the more you say retired and military families, you'll definitely see your profit margins go up. So, yeah, Sonia, go ahead.
I have one question that came in on my end is that what if you get bored of your niche? Like what if you're doing the same thing over and over and that gets boring?
Yeah. So thank you. Hi, Maria. How are you? Yeah. So definitely just what I would encourage is starting to do something a little bit different. So I did hear that someone, for Yvonne, she's an expert in military. And so what was happening, there wasn't a lot of moving because of COVID-19. So they had to pivot. So my encouragement is to start looking at what